Hi everyone. So recently I've been getting a lot of messages and comments from you guys, and even in my one-to-one sessions, I've been hearing the same thing. People come and tell me and say that we're not able to do DSA. We're doing all of the right things, we're solving problems, but whenever a new problem comes, we're not able to solve it. We're not able to think of the right approach, our brain stops working and we get stuck. And a lot of you might be facing the same issue. When you're watching a video tutorial or when you're solving a problem that you're used to, you feel like you've gotten everything. You feel like you've learned and understood everything. But whenever a new problem comes, that's when you realize that you've not gotten the essence of the algorithm, or you get stuck and you're not able to go forward. And a lot of people keep getting stuck in this cycle where they keep on getting demotivated and their level of DSA is not able to improve. They're stuck at the same level no matter how much they try, no matter how much they practice. So your DSA skills are here right now, which is why this issue is happening, and it needs to be here. It needs to be there. You need to be a master of DSA and problem solving, especially if you want to crack companies like Microsoft, Google, or Amazon, right? Because these are the companies or the top companies cares a lot about DSA. But how do you improve your level? How do you go from here to there? Because if you keep on repeating the same thing, if you keep on doing practice the same way, you're going to be stuck at the same level, which is what happens to 90% of the people, which is what happens to majority of the people. And you will see that majority of the people are never able to master DSA. So this is exactly what I'm going to talk about in today's video. I'm going to tell you how you can take your DSA from this level and take it up to this level, how you can basically 10x your DSA. So it's going to be a very important video. Sit tight, watch the entire video and make sure that you get everything so that you never have to struggle with DSA ever again. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about, straight into it, the first thing that I want to talk about is a lot of people are practicing the wrong way. A lot of people think that if we just keep on doing more and more problems, our DSA skills are going to increase. They feel that their DSA level, all that it needs is just solving new problems and solving a lot of problems. Now, there is some truth to that. Of course, there is some truth to that. The more problems you solve, of course, you're going to get better. Practice makes a man perfect. Practice makes anyone perfect. That's what, the general idea is, and it is true. But if you mindlessly solve a lot of problems, it's not going to help you. It is always quality over quantity. This statement is true everywhere, and it is true in solving DSA problems as well. If you solve 10 problems, but you don't get the essence of it, then it's worthless because you're not doing anything new. You're not giving your brain anything to learn. So what I want you to do is solve one problem mindfully. And if you solve one problem mindfully, that will give you a lot more information than solving 10 problems mindlessly. So the idea here is, and the first thing I want to tell you is always pick quality over quantity. What do I mean by that? See, the idea is very simple. Whatever problem you're doing, the main goal of the problem is not to solve it. The main goal of the problem is not to solve it. The main goal of the problem is to learn from it. If you are able to solve it, that's done and dusted. You'll not need the problem again. If you are not able to solve the problem, that's where you have to learn from it. The goal of solving problems is not to get it accepted. That is fine. The goal of solving problems is to learn from it. How do you learn from it? This is what you need to do. First of all, every problem that you're doing, it doesn't matter what topic it is, it doesn't matter where you've gotten the problem from, no matter what problem you're doing, you need to give yourself time to solve the problem. A lot of people are in a hurry. They think that, they just sit at the problem, they give 10-15 minutes, they think, okay, we're not able to solve it. Let's watch the solution. And here's the thing about watching solutions and watching video solutions or watching tutorials. When you're watching the solution, you will feel like you've gotten everything. You'll get this false sense of confidence that you've understood the algorithm. Now, any new problem comes on this algorithm, you'll be able to solve it. But that is not the case. Because the thing is, when you're watching a video solution, the person is feeding you something. Of course, you're able to understand that. It is like the person is explaining something to you. And of course, the person is talented. So when they're explaining it to you, you'll be able to understand. But what will happen? In a week, you'll forget it. Your brain will not be able to retain it. So what you need to do, you need to give yourself time to solve the problem first. You need to give at least 1 hour, 45 minutes to 1 hour to solve a single problem. Try everything in that. Take a piece of pen and paper, write down test cases, try run the test cases, play around with the test cases, think of everything possible. And in later part of the video, of course, I'll tell you the exact way of how to solve a problem. But I'm talking about general practice. You have to give yourself time before you jump to the solution, and never ever watch video tutorial. I'm 100% against watching video solutions. There is a way where you can watch video solutions, and that is if you're learning new algorithm. If you're learning a new algorithm, you can watch a video for that. That is completely fine. But for solving a problem, I never recommend that you watch a video for it. It should always be your last resort. If you're not able to understand anything, you feel like your brain has gotten fried, only then you should go and watch the video solution. Okay, the idea is that you should give your brain enough time so that it remembers everything. The more you struggle with the problem, keep this in your mind, the more you struggle with the problem, the more you are going to learn from it. The point I'm trying to make here is that quality is always going to beat quantity. So with that, you'll say, okay, bhaiya, we'll give enough time to each of the problem, but we're still not able to improve. We're still not able to do DSA problems. And especially when new problems comes, we don't know how to solve it. So how do we do? No matter how much time we give, we're not knowing how to solve it, right? So that is, of course, one thing that you'll still face. And people keep asking me, what is the hack for DSA? Tell us a trick for DSA. So let me tell you that DSA is all about patterns. This is it. This is the trick to DSA, okay? DSA is nothing but a bunch of patterns. And DSA is the easiest thing to do. Once you realize that DSA is nothing but a bunch of patterns, you'll feel that DSA is the easiest thing to do. See, we have around 15, 20 or 10 to 15 patterns depending on which companies you're targeting. If you're targeting mid-tier companies, you have around 10 to 15 patterns, and that's it. Any problem you come across will be a part of that pattern. This is the best thing about DSA. There are no new patterns being discussed. There are no new algorithms being discovered, right? There are no new data structures being discovered. It's all the same patterns coming back to you in different question form. So what you need to do, you need to play and master the patterns. You need to play with the patterns and you need to master them. Once you do that, you're going to be a master of DSA. This is the trick for doing DSA. But how do you do that? First, you need to do pattern-wise solving. As a beginner, the most important thing that you need to do is do pattern-wise problems. Why? Because if you do random problem, one will have one pattern, one will have one pattern, and you'll not be able to see the pattern's connection. You'll not be able to recognize the pattern. That will only happen once you do pattern-wise problem. Let's take 2 pointers, for example. Let's say you learn 2 pointers. You watch the video for that, completely fine. For learning new algorithms, for learning new concepts, you can watch videos. So you watch 2 pointers, now you're ready to tackle 2 pointers problem. You do around 10 to 15 problems just on 2 pointers. You can pick any sheet, you can pick Striver sheet, you can pick Neat Code 150, you can pick, there are sheets according to topics as well. Anything is fine. You just do 10 to 15 problems on 2 pointers. First 3 or 4 will not make sense to you. First 3 or 4 will be like, oh, how will we use 2 pointers here? How will it work? It will not come to you. But after you solve 5 problems, 6 problems, you'll start seeing a connection. You'll start seeing that, okay, if this is the type of problem, yes, 2 pointers can be used. And it will keep on coming once you do pattern-wise problem. So the first thing that you need to do, absolutely start with pattern-wise solving. That is extremely important. Okay, pick a pattern, learn it properly, start with the basics. This is again an issue that a lot of people have. They just jump over the basics and they go straight to solving the problem. Don't do that. Start with the basics, understand the concept, and then do a bunch of problems from that pattern. Right now, you know it's that pattern, and it's fine if you know it's that pattern because you want to see the connections. See, whenever the connections are forming, both in the pattern and in your brain, you'll be able to get that pattern recognition ability. You'll have that pattern recognition ability unlocked. Okay, so the goal is to solve a lot of problems from the same pattern. Fine. Once you're able to do that, and once you do that for each of those 15 patterns, let's say that you do all of those patterns, you do 10 to 15 problems per pattern, and you've solved now around 200, 300 problems, which is enough. For learning all of the patterns, around 300 problems are pretty much enough, more than enough. You don't need more than that. 300 to 400 is like the max you'll need. If you do Striver sheet, he has 450 questions, that is fine. But that is like the maximum you'll take for each of the pattern altogether. Now what? We've done all of the pattern problems, but still we're not able to solve new problems. Still, whenever a new problem comes, we're not able to think which pattern it is. Again, you might be saying that. So this is what you need to do. Whenever you solve a new problem, there is a flow that you have to go through. A lot of people, what they do, they panic. They see a new problem, because obviously when they see a new problem, either it's going to be in a contest or it's going to be in an interview. You're already in a state of panic. So what you need to do, first thing, you need to relax. Whenever a new problem comes, relax, read the problem properly. A lot of times there are hints in the problem as to what the problem is going to be, especially for data structure related problems. Whenever there's a graph problem, whenever there's a tree problem, you will be able to understand that from the question itself. I guarantee you. You'll be able to understand just from the question itself. But let's say the question is ambiguous. You're not getting which pattern to use just from the question itself. What do you do next? First, look at the constraints. Look at the constraints, and from the constraints, you'll be able to figure out the time complexity that is expected to solve this problem with. Once you get the expected time complexity, you think an approach based on that. Because obviously, if the expected time complexity is O of log n, something like binary search can work. If the expected time complexity is O of n log n, something like sorting will work. If it is O of n, you know that you have to do everything within a single loop. So you'll get some idea just from the constraints. But let's say that you got that you have to do it in O of n from the constraints, but you're not able to think of it. How do you do that? Start from the brute force approach. I'm not saying code the brute force approach. Think of the brute force approach. Brute force approach, you'll see that, okay, I'm able to do it with O of n square with brute force approach. Now you try to optimize on it. Now you try to think of what are the various things you can do. Will you be able to do 2 pointers? Initially, it's going to be a trial and error. Initially, you will be thinking, can I use 2 pointers in this? Can I use a map in this? Can I use this in this? So initially, it's going to be a struggle. Initially, it's going to be trial and error. But the more you have of this, the more and the faster it is going to start coming to you. So you have to start with the brute force, and then you have to think of optimizing it. Now, a lot of times you might have a wrong answer. You might have a TLE. That is fine. But you should be thinking of any approach. You should not be sitting idle. That's my point. If you're getting a wrong answer, that is good, because now you have something to work on. If you're getting TLE, good. Now you have something to work on. But you should not just be sitting. So think of an approach and just start optimizing it. Take a piece of pen and paper and do your best. Okay. You should only code once you've finalized your approach. Initially, take a piece of pen and paper, play around with the test cases, play around with many test cases, and many times you'll see that just from the test cases, you'll be able to figure out an approach. Okay. So this is the flow that you have to go through. Understand the problem, look at the constraints, think of the simplest solution you can, and then work on top of that. You can do a trial and error initially, man. It is fine, right? Initially, everyone is a beginner. Initially, nobody is able to think of the right approach. But it's all about how much you're willing to spend on the problem. See, I'll tell you something from my college days. Okay, when I was in college, we used to have long challenges. I've told this story long back in many of my videos, so you might have heard this. So we had long challenges, right? And in the long challenges, we had 10 days to solve 5 or 6 questions. So we had 10 days and we had no solution. We just had to solve it. There was no chat GPT. There was nothing back then, right? So we had to do it on our own in 10 days without any help. So there were people who used to spend 8 days on a single problem. They had to spend 5-6 days on a single problem, and then they would come at the solution. So do you think that someone who has taken so much time on a single problem, do you think they'll ever forget that concept? No, right? So that's what it is all about. You have to give time to the concepts. You cannot do this in a rush. DSA does take time. Anyone who says that you can rush through DSA is lying. You cannot. It takes time. So, and I'm not saying that you need to sit on a question for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. No, at least 1 hour. That's all I ask for. Sit on every question for at least 1 hour. Okay. So keep on doing this, and then you'll still see that, you'll still say that, and you'll still feel that you're not able to do problems. Why? Because you forget. You'll forget what pattern to use, or you'll forget what pattern did I use before. And of course you'll forget. And I'm not saying that you have to memorize the solution. You don't have to memorize the solutions, but you have to memorize the concepts. It's not memorizing per se. It is more like understanding and retaining the concept, right? Because human beings, we forget. It is fine. We forget everything, right? There are many things you might have forgotten, many things important in your life you might have forgotten, right? And these are concepts that we hardly use. So of course we will forget. That is why spaced repetition and revision is key. Along with all of this, you have to do revision. Someone who does all of this and does not revise will not get better at DSA. Someone who does all of this and has weekly revision, has revision every 3 days, will be able to retain more and understand more. Because these concepts are very easy to forget. These algorithms, these concepts, you'll easily forget. So this is what I'll suggest. Every week, pick out a single day and just revise everything. Revise all of the problems, revise all of the concepts that you've learned, and that is also going to be a great thing for you. Okay, so you do all of these things and it's still not enough. It's still not complete, because you need one more factor into the equation. All of this is fine. Spend time on the problem, struggle with the problem, pick quality over quantity, and learn new concepts properly, give enough time to new problems, focus on things the right way. All of these things are fine, but there's still one more factor to the equation, and that is consistency. Everyone who's good at DSA, everyone who you see right now is a master of DSA, was consistent with it even when they didn't want to. They were consistent with it, which is why they are at this level. So there are days when you feel like you don't want to do DSA. There are many days you'll feel like you don't want to do DSA, you don't want to do anything. What I'm saying is, do not break the streak. Every day, at least solve one problem a day. For days when you don't feel like doing anything, just solve an easy problem. It is fine. I'm not saying you have to do a lot. Just solve one lead code easy problem. But never ever break a streak. Consistency is the biggest factor in mastering DSA. Okay? All of these things, without consistency, everything will fall apart. Okay? So you do all of these things, master the patterns, you give time to the problems, you revise, and you do all of this consistently. Okay, and once you do all of this, within 3 months you are going to see results. And one more thing that I want to talk about, which is obvious, everyone knows this, but still not a lot of people are doing this. A lot of people come to me and say that we're not able to improve in DSA. I ask them, how many contests have you given? They're like, oh, we don't give contests, we've given 0 contests. So that is something I do not want to see. You have to give contest. I don't care if you give on lead code. I don't care if you go on code forces. I understand a lot of people on lead code are not able to give contest because it happens in early morning. Give a virtual contest, or give on code forces, or give on CodeChef. Anything is fine, but you have to start giving contest. Again, this everyone knows this, but still very few people implement this. You have to give contest and you have to absolve. This is like a great thing, right? This is the way to practice, because once you do all of the pattern problems, what are you going to do? Are you going to just keep on revising them forever? No, you're going to do contest, because one thing that will happen, contest will take the fear out of you. You'll no longer have fear. A lot of people have fear of coming across new DSA problems. Like yesterday, a student in my mentorship session told me that I'm afraid of solving new problem. I have this fear. Whenever I come across a new problem, I get this anxiety, I get this fear. And the reason you're getting that is because you're not doing contest. Give 10-15 contests, the fear will go out of you like anything, okay? So you have to give contest. I cannot believe I'm saying this, because I've been saying this since 3 years and still people are not following this. So you have to start doing contest. All of these things you have to do consistently. And once you do all of this, you'll see a massive difference within 3 months, within 6 months, max to max 6 months. And that's all it will take. Trust me, you will become a master of DSA. Now, there is one more thing that I want to talk about, and this is more related to the psychology. So if you just wanted the tips, you can click off the video, it is fine. But this is more about the psychology. See, a lot of people think that DSA is not for them. A lot of people think that we're not intelligent enough for DSA. A lot of people think that we're not good enough for DSA. And a lot of people try to avoid DSA. They think that we'll go into roles that don't require DSA. We'll go into companies that don't ask DSA. But this is nothing but running away from the problem. This is something that my dad likes to call Palayanvadi Vichardhara, which is like a defeatist mentality. Running away mentality. This is not going to work. So you have to take the bull by its horn. There is no other way. And once you understand this, once you get out of this fear, DSA is the easiest thing to do. We have so many difficult things in computer science, in software. We have back-end development, we have complex systems, we have machine learning, we have actual computer science. We have so many things. DSA, trust me, is the easiest part of it. All you need to do is you need to have the right mindset, and you need to have the right practice strategy. The right practice strategy, I've already told you. The remaining thing is the right mindset. You need to believe that you can do it. That's it. A lot of people don't talk about this, but confidence is key in everything, and confidence is key with DSA. The more confident you are that you will be able to solve the problem, the higher chances of you solving that problem is going to be. So have the right mindset. Don't run away from DSA. Take the bull by its horn. Give contests. Go knee deep into problem solving. Take out time every day, 3 hours, 4 hours. It's nothing. Take 3 to 4 hours every day. Solve problems, and trust me, you'll come out a master of DSA. Okay, so that's pretty much it. This video has gone on far longer than what I expected it to be, because a lot of people don't go into details, but I like to go into details. I like to yap about these things. So I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you have any personal issues, if you have any sort of personal doubts about your specific situation regarding DSA, regarding placements, regarding your resume, regarding off-campus placements, or any other issues you have, where you need one-to-one guidance, you can connect one-to-one with me. The link for that is going to be in the description box. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Make sure that you subscribe, because I'll be bringing a lot more videos, a lot more tutorials about DSA development and anything that will bring you your dream job. So yeah, stay tuned and watch out for more videos. Thanks for watching.